We are live. Okay. Hello, everybody. Leticia coming to you again today for another edition of my weekly Money Matters webinars series. And today's topic, as announced a bit earlier today, is creating financial independence by doubling your income. And I have the pleasure of having as my guest today the one and only Mr. Quentin D'Souza. I've known Quentin for a number of years. He is pretty much a legend in the Toronto and GTA real estate investing space. More than 8 years, what is it? More than 10 years ago, Quentin started the Durham REI Investment Club, which continues to be one of the most popular and well-loved real estate investing clubs in the GTA. And I also want to take a minute to read Quentin's bio, just so you have an idea of who we have joining us today. And by the way, Quentin, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, you're welcome.
All right. So give me a minute here. So Quentin is a multiple award-winning real estate investor and is a trusted authority on investing in the Durham region. He is an Ontario certified teacher and holds 2 university degrees, which includes a master's in education. Quentin has appeared on local and national television and radio, has been interviewed in national publications, and has been a keynote speaker to large audiences of real estate investors. Quentin is a proud member of the Entrepreneurs Organization and has been accepted into Tiger 21. Maybe you can tell us more about what that is. His company, Appleridge Homes, uses the buy, fix, refinance, and rent strategy on long-term rental properties in Ontario, as well as with joint venture partnerships to create win-win relationships. He also invests in rental properties in the US. And as mentioned, he also mentors real estate investors through his popular Durham Real Estate Investors Club, which you can find at durhamrei.ca. All right. So with that said, thanks again for joining us, Quentin. Welcome.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. I think today's topic is one that should be of interest to a lot of people because it's a broad enough topic that we all would love to learn more about. And being a member of your club, I remember seeing part of your presentation, and it was so easy to understand, and I loved how you kind of made it all clear using simple concepts. So it was guys, you're gonna love it. So do you want to start with? I know you have a few slides ready for us, or where would you like to start, Quentin?
Yeah, I don't mind starting with slides. So let's get right into it. I'm hoping that you'll be able to see this. Are you able to see that?
Absolutely, yeah. It's been added to the stream. Mm-hmm.
All right, so first off, I wanted to start with a little bit of and I want to thank you for that introduction. I do have a lot of experience. I've been investing since 2004. And I have, like Leticia said, I have a number of awards. I've been on television, I've been on radio. I was recently on Global News as well. I've met thousands of investors over the years from running the Real Estate Investment Club, which is going into its 13th year. So it's actually been around since 2008. I actually built a portfolio of properties that allowed me to leave my job while I was working full time. And I left that in 2014. I've been presented at numerous conferences and magazines and in the newspaper. And I've written my latest book, which is the Action Takers Real Estate Planner here. It was my latest book, and I've also written 3 other books, and they're all available on Amazon, so you're welcome to take a look at Amazon and grab them. I have been featured in other people's books, and I'm part of the Entrepreneurs Organization, which requires you to have a certain level of income annually, and Tiger 21, which requires you to have a level of net worth in order to be accepted into that organization. It's a minimum of a $10 million net worth. So there's a few places that you can, if you're interested in any of those organizations, I encourage you to get involved. So first of all, what I'm not a realtor, I'm not a mortgage broker, I'm not a lawyer or an accountant. I'm not selling you property management services. I am an award-winning educator. As a teacher, I was awarded through the Learning Partnership won education awards. I am a full-time investor, book author, mentor, and I consider myself a real estate educator now. Okay. As a teacher, I was on the Sunshine List, which in Ontario, Canada, means that I was a public servant who was earning over $100,000 a year. Now, it wasn't, I was actually doing some administrative work that allowed me to get to that level. But it just goes to show you that I did have to achieve a lot in my real estate business in order to leave my job. And what we're going to be talking about here is how I was able to double my income. And by doubling my income, I was able to leave my position. I had, at the time, I had 2 small children. With my wife, and it was a lot for her at the time to say, hey, that's okay to kind of go after this. But we did it together, and haven't looked back since. And I wanted to give the example of cookies because everybody loves cookies. Come on. So I've got that's the stack of cookies is how much I was making per month. Okay. So to give you an example, and we'll look at this a little bit more, but I can tell you like why it's a good idea for you to be able to double your income, and why you should be thinking about it. One is that when you're doubling your income, if you are somebody who earns money by being employed by somebody else, you are getting after-tax job income. That is what happens to you, right? If you are a commissioned person or you have a business, it's different. But when you do that, that after-tax job income means that you're earning less because you're paying taxes first. When I'm thinking about the way that I'm taxed as a real estate owner, I'm taxed after all of the things that I need to do to that particular, income. And then I pay tax on the balance. So that's a very different approach to things. And as a business owner, you want to keep that in mind. And I consider every property that I own in my portfolio, whether it's a single family home or a 24-unit apartment building, is a little business on its own. And, why do you want to double your income? Maybe you want retirement. Maybe you want to change jobs. Maybe you want to explore new passions, new opportunities, whatever it is for you. You have to decide for yourself what that's going to be. For me, it was to make sure that I was able to, run a business and be able to do the things that I want to do. So I want to show you what happens when you continue that process. So I moved from, the job income to business income. All right. And this is what it currently looks like for me. Okay. So I have after-tax real estate income, and I consider that to be cash flow after I pay all my expenses from my real estate portfolio. Currently, my real estate portfolio is above 34 million in assets, and I own at least 50% of all of those assets. Some of them I own 100%. Okay. Then I have my pre-tax refinances of that real estate portfolio. Okay. And so that is where let's say the property value has gone up and I want to refinance the property to take some money out of it. So for example, over the last 2 months, I've done that for 8 properties. Okay. Then I also have like my Durham REI stuff that I do, right? I don't do coaching. I don't do that sort of thing anymore, but I have that membership and education income, let's call it. Then I also do option trading and dividend income. Okay, so I've been doing option trading for the last 4 years, and I have dividends. So that I would say that's my stock investing income. Okay, if you asked me back in 2014, I would have had property flipping income. right? Because I used to flip, I did a dozen properties in a year, right? So I would have that as a different income source. And I would have had coaching as an income source here. Okay. The next income source I have is the intellectual property. So the books that I have. Um, there are lots of different people. Maybe intellectual property could be, you own, maybe you wrote a song and you're getting residuals from that, right? Whatever that is. For me, it's books because that's what I do. Then I have my own property management company. So we manage the property. We manage a certain amount of the properties, the ones that are within 50 kilometers of where all our properties are. I manage those. I take a management fee from that, and I have a property manager. I have an administrator who works for me. Okay, so those are that's my team, but I make a certain percentage off of that. And then I have my US real estate investing income. So I have a portfolio of properties in Florida. Funny enough, I just refinanced that. Then I have ATM investments. Then I have equity in other people's businesses that I own.
Oh,
Okay, so these
nice.
are the different types of streams of income, and I keep, I have other things that I don't even, I've got a lot of other sources of income, but these are the ones that I want to illustrate to get the idea of moving from having a job to having multiple income streams. Okay, and this is what it looked like for me. So that would have been my income when I left my job as a teacher per month. This is what my income looks like from my real estate portfolio cash flow per month. Okay, this is what it looks like for me from my when I do refinances, because actually I just did 8 refinances, and I freed up about 400,000 from 4 properties, and I still have 4 more to go. Okay, and that's in the last little while. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, Quentin. So, pardon me for interrupting. The When you first left your job,
Mhm.
did you do so because your real estate income, in other words, the cash flow from your properties, uh, was enough to replace your earned income from your job?
Yeah, I would say when I quit, it was one of those stacks.
Right. And
That's
and
what.
were you also doing flipping at the time, if I may ask, or were you
Yeah,
strictly?
yes. Once I quit my job, then I started to flip properties as well. And when I flip properties, I would say that was like adding 3 of these stacks here.
Oh, nice, nice, nice,
Okay.
nice. So your flipping income was actually superior to your flipping, and cash flow income became superior to what you were earning
Yes,
from your
because it
one
freed up
job.
my time to be able to do that because I didn't have the time to commit to doing it. And I was good at it, and it was something that I enjoyed doing. And so I decided to do it more. Now, if you look at my after-tax membership and education income, that's one stack. And then the other stack is option trading, which is pretty much equal for me. If all I did was option trading and dividend income, I could eliminate another income source. Like my books, I gotta tell you, you're not gonna get rich off writing books. So those are crumbs. So I really don't. It really isn't a great income source. I do it because I'm an educator, and I was for 20 years, and I want to make sure that people have the opportunity to learn. So that's why I do that. The next one is property management. It's also crumbs because after I pay for the administrator and I pay for my the property manager, I make something, but not a lot. My U.S. income, I would say that it is there is a component to it. Now that I've refinanced the properties and be able to reinvest that income, that's probably going to end up being another stack as well. And then my ATM and other equity businesses, it depends on the month and the day. Sometimes it's nothing. Sometimes it's $2,000 US per month. Like it just depends. So it really does depend. What's nice for me is if there's somebody, like if I don't want to do business with somebody, I don't care. It doesn't bother me, right?
Of
Because I
course.
have the ability to have different types of income
Yeah.
to be able to do that. If there's a property that's bothering me, I can get rid of the property. It's not going to affect my overall. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So it's just easy to be able to do that. And
of
then
course.
if you take the long-term point of view when you're looking at your real estate income, that's what my appreciation looks like. And actually, it's a lot crazier than that over the last year because in my area where I'm investing, all of my real estate portfolio has gone up 25%. So
Wow.
if I probably look back at my real estate portfolio today, it would probably exceed over 40 million. I just haven't gone back and looked at it yet. But this is what happens when you take a long-term point of view and you're not just looking at making money today. A lot of people are focused on flipping and short-term strategies, which are great. But the problem is that you can't get yields from that. You can't refinance the property again. You can't get cash flow from the property again. And what happens is it's like they're
Yep.
killing the golden goose. Every time they do that, they kill the golden goose, especially if it's a great property for a long-term rental. Okay, so today we're going to look at like vision, mindset, strategies, action, and reflection. It's a cycle. Everybody goes through this cycle when they're planning. Go ahead.
Are you still able to see the video? Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I was just making sure because there was a bit of a slowdown, but it looks like it's okay, Quentin. Go ahead.
Sure. So I want you to get a couple of things today. Achieve
Could you
more
actually go
goals,
back?
do it faster,
Could you go
diversify and
back?
supercharge your income. And I want you to have a bit of a goal guidance system so that we focus on your goals and in moving you towards your goals. Okay. So let's go through this a little bit more. So first of all, everybody needs to have a big vision or big rocks or beliefs or what is whatever your dream is, your vision board. Everybody calls it something different, right? What do you want, but why do you want it? Okay, because if your why is strong enough, it'll drive you. What are you willing to do to get you there? What are you willing to give up? Are you willing to, when I was teaching and building a real estate portfolio, I felt like I had three jobs, not two jobs, because I was working very hard to make sure that I was able to achieve the goals that I wanted to do. I worked hard for 4 or 5 years, really hard for like maybe 1 or 2 years, but I'm able to benefit that for the rest of my life now. It's not but are you willing to do it, right? And also, what are you looking for? Are you looking for money? Are you looking, not everybody is looking for money. Are you looking for time? Do you want to like get your time back? Are you willing to give up time now so that you have time going forward forever? Are you looking for travel? Like maybe that's what you want to do. And real estate can enable you to do that, particularly if you're investing in another country, right? When I focused on real estate investing in the US because it allows me to travel to the US as much as I need to and write off all the stuff that I'm
Sure,
doing
yeah,
there, right?
sure.
If you really love wherever you are, right, you can invest in that place and come back to it again and again and use that as part of your goal. So what is that big vision? What are the big rocks that you have? Okay.
So, Quentin, may I interrupt you for 1 second? Do you think one of the issues is that people have a lack of clarity and a lack of vision? And maybe I think so many people, it seems to me, they live just these mundane types of lives where they have a job or whatever their work may be. And then, of course, you look after the family and you're just kind of on a treadmill, especially when you're still in that stage of only having active income. In other words, your earned income, no other source of income coming in. So, what would you advise? Like, how can somebody even kind of like remove their head from the treadmill to what did you have to do to kind of expand your worldview and kind of like your idea of what you thought is possible? What did it take for you from going from being a teacher? I'm sure you were very busy, and you're saying you were an award-winning teacher, educator, to saying, well, you know what, this life is good, but there's more. And what does that more look like?
Yeah, and you know what? That ties in really well for what this is, right? If you look at the future and you look at where you are today, there's going to be a difference. And what you have to decide for yourself is Is it significantly better than today? If you feel that the future is significantly better than today, if you want it badly enough, if you need it, if you have your big why, that is going to drive you. If all you want to do is sit down and watch TV, that's not going to drive you. If you have a vision that of the future, if it's clear enough to you, if you want it badly, and I got this on my desk here, and I have it. It says, "Never, ever, ever, ever give up." Right?
Right. Yeah.
And that's for your dreams, your goals. And if you want it bad enough, then you'll be able to get it. And when you're looking at your vision, you also, if you're thinking about being a real estate investor, what type of real estate investor do you want to be? Because there are tons of, maybe you really love your job. And that's great. Maybe you just want to use real estate investing to supplement your income. Maybe it's a calling in your life. Maybe like you are great at negotiating purchases. So maybe you should be a realtor. Maybe you should be a mortgage agent or a property management, or get into wholesaling or doing rent to own or lease to owns in your business. Maybe you're an entrepreneur and you love solving problems. I love solving problems. That's one of the things that I enjoy doing. I like to learn new things. I like to make change. I like to be transformative. I like to have personal growth and see my company grow. Are you hands off? Do you just want to like invest in paper or invest through a money partner? What do you want to do? Maybe it's a mixture, but you have to decide for yourself what that's going to look like. And everybody is different, and I cannot decide that for you, right? And like it's a personal
And
preference.
got it. And Quentin, perhaps one of the things we should have said to preface today's webinar is that I think there's a famous quote, or it's a statistic, that 90% of millionaires became so through real estate. So why are we even speaking about real estate and owning real estate, being a real estate investor? Because it's been one of the surest ways to wealth generationally, across the ages. So whatever else you may be into, because we've had webinars about, most recently about crypto investing, about gold and silver investing, and including about things like passive real estate investing, you probably would be well advised to consider real estate as part of your overall wealth strategy. And that's why I will continue to have webinars about real estate investing, and that's why I'm so happy Quentin could be here with us today. That's it.
Well, I appreciate that. And I've invested in all of them. And I have an active business, and I invest in real estate. And I can tell you that even option trading, dividends, owning with businesses, and gold and silver and crypto, I've had experience in all of those things. What you do not have in a lot of that, maybe except for a business, is you actually have a real asset that you own and that you can touch, and that it appreciates over time. It creates cash flow for you. You can leverage it by having the bank take a mortgage on it, and then you can pay down that mortgage. And you earn in 4 different ways. You can earn by cash flow from the property, you can earn through mortgage pay down, and you earn through appreciation. And if you can take a property and change it from a single family to a duplex or a triplex or apartment building because the land permits it, then you're going to be able to do a lot more to it. You'll be able to expand so you can do all that through real estate, and it's much harder to do in any other type of asset class. So that's why I would encourage people to have a look at that. One of the questions I ask people, particularly when they're thinking about investing in real estate, if we met a few years in the future, what would have happened for you to be happy, right? And it's a question that you need to answer yourself related to whatever you're investing in. Okay, and if you can do that and I can say that from my experience, real estate allows you to be able to make real change, double your income, and do that as long as you're committing to the process. What are you measuring? The other thing too is, people aren't measuring success in their goals correctly because they don't know what they're measuring. So some people are measuring money. Maybe it's money in the bank, maybe it's cash flow. Maybe the way that you're measuring should be traveling to different continents. Maybe because that's what you want to do. Maybe measuring to you is how much family time you have, right? So you have to know what you're measuring in order to be successful at it. And that comes from, that big rocks or your vision. So what is that? And what I don't have on this list is the number of properties. It's not about the number of properties. It's not about the number of doors that you have. That's not the significant measurement, but you need to figure out what that is, right? It's like understanding that Google isn't a search engine. Google is a platform for advertising and knowing the difference, right? And that's the same for, what are you measuring for success? Okay. And whatever you're doing, whatever you want, the more time you spend doing it, the more you'll feel successful, right? If you
Right.
enjoy
Yeah.
traveling and you're traveling, right, like you are, you're going to enjoy that because you're doing what you want to do, right? So that is the key. Um, your mindset will always affect your own personal, like your behavior, right? So if you have a growth mindset, then you will continue to seek other people who are growing as well, right? And you want to have that growth mindset because we're always learning, and continue to focus on, if you really want to be an active real estate investor, then you need to spend time learning. And spend time learning means like reading books. It means watching videos. When I started real estate investing, there wasn't a lot of places to go online to find stuff. Now you can go to YouTube, you can go to a lot of different places. But the challenge I find is that you get a lot of people who don't have experience giving advice. I see it in Facebook all the time. And you know what? That's great if that helps you, but I can tell you what's going to happen. You're going to take the wrong turn and you're going to go all the way over here, and it's going to take you twice or three times as long to get here. What you need to do is find people who have already succeeded and can prove that they've succeeded and follow their path. That's the way to do it. I see a lot of people talking about just about flipping properties, right? And I understand that you can make a lot of money flipping properties. It's cash in the hand now, right? The problem is that you cannot get yield on that. And and I
Quentin,
mentioned it
perhaps,
before.
sorry,
Yeah,
would you please explain what you mean by yield? Like I've always heard the word yield when referring to bonds,
yeah,
but perhaps for our audience, let's take a moment and just explain what you mean by yield when it comes to properties.
yeah. So the yield means like if I transact on a property and I make $100,000, I have $100,000, right? That
And you gotta
I
pay
have
tax
a
on
hundred
it.
thousand,
Yeah.
right? Well, okay.
And you gotta
So
pay tax on it too. Yeah.
yeah. Well, yeah. Well, that's money that I have in hand. But yield would be me buying a property, fixing it, refinancing, pulling all my money out of it, and continuing to own the property, and then getting paid every month by cash flow. Then also refinancing the property down the road in 5 years and taking an additional $100,000 out. Instead of getting paid $100,000 once, I get paid $100,000, maybe let's say 3, 4, 5 times, right? And
Yep.
that's the difference. That's the yield I can get. Because people are thinking so transactionally and people are educated or educating people to think transactionally, it's great, but the problem is that you always will have to work to earn that $100,000. Me, I just have to manage what I already have. I don't have to keep working to be able to
Yep.
do it. And in fact, it doesn't take me
Beautiful.
any time. do it.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Quentin, thank you for explaining that so clearly. And I think flipping has a certain appeal to people because of all these flipping shows that have become so popular on HGTV. And you know what? To their credit, like that's how I found out about real estate investing to begin with. But I soon after learned exactly what you stated here, that first of all, even the experience of doing my first flip was, it basically took away so much of my time. It's flipping is active income unless you
Good
already
job.
have a well managed team that can really take ownership and you can trust them. If you're the one managing the flip, you're going to be investing a lot of your time making sure things are being done on time and the way they should. It's time consuming. And at the time, I still had my primary income, and I just found like I was basically sacrificing my one income source in order to manage the flip. So I was like, I'm not doing this again. And then shortly afterwards, I learned, when you're a buy and hold investor, there are all these additional benefits that you can reap. And I did have, one buy and hold property that I managed for a number of years. Unfortunately, I did have to sell it. My own mistake. Well, some lessons you learn the hard way. I over leveraged myself at a high rate. Lo que pasó, pasó. But you learn from your mistakes, and I definitely want to continue with real estate investing. I think it's I've seen, even with my one property, I saw the kind of income I could get. I saw it's a life changer. It really is. Especially once your property value goes up, whether through improvements that you've made or through just market forces. Thank you very much. If the market is good, like, I'm not going to complain. So
Yeah, absolutely. Buying in the right area helps. And the other thing too is, I think that people see the shows and they think that it's just like, do this and do that and everything is done in the flip. But the reality is that there are a few people who have businesses, and that's what they do. They're contractors, and they're general contractors, and they have all the sub trades under them, and they can run it like that. And they usually are also somebody who could be easily a general contractor.
for
But
sure.
most people off the street doing that, they're going to take the role of being a general contractor themselves, and that is usually a full-time job. And that's what ends up happening on a lot of these projects. Now, there are different ways that you can remove yourself from that process. And don't tell me, like, I'm saying that, I'm not saying that it's not profitable. It can be very profitable,
Oh yeah.
but you're trading your time for dollars again, right? And that's what you want to not do, at least for me. And you have to decide. So I guess, like, when we're talking about doubling your income, the way that I approach it is have a number of different income sources, right? Because maybe one day you want to get rid of one of those income sources that you don't want to do anymore because for whatever reason, right? So real estate takes time and effort in order to get those returns. And even though I'm a full-time real estate investor, you'll notice that I have a number of different income sources. I probably have a dozen if I kept going, but I share the top ones with you. And there isn't anything passive about the action you need to take to get this done. You can't just sit back and, if you're going to invest in REITs, that's great, but you're not going to have the same type of returns. Like,
Yeah.
I've never earned less than 30% annually on my real estate portfolio.
Hear that, everyone.
Right?
30% annually, no less. Okay.
Never. And I don't spend any time doing it. Like, if you're doing option trading, like the roller coaster in the last 3 weeks have been like crazy, right? But yeah, but luckily my real estate portfolio is going. If we go back to that list of how my income is, separated out, I'm not really worried what happens to the option trading income. Len, let me show you what I mean. This is one of the charts from the book that the Action Taker Real Estate Planner, and I've got a lot of great templates in it, and that's really what I want to communicate with people. If you pick up that book, you'll see some of these templates. If you look at what most people will do is they'll look at number one, and that's all they have. They only have commission income. They only have salary, right? If if they were to lose it, they would be in trouble, right? If you looked at me and you looked at all the income sources that we have there, you would see that I have probably the other nine and more, right? Because I described to you, I think I showed you seven, but I definitely have more than that, right? If I sold an asset, it would be even more. So if you looked at this, I decided that I was going to not coach anymore. When I was coaching, I would charge $12,000 for 6 months, 1 hour a week, okay? And I would take maybe 4 or 5 people. When I did group coaching, I would have 12 people. I would charge them $700 a month, and I would work with them twice a month together as a group. Okay. I decided that I'm not doing that anymore because it's just not, I don't want to give up my time. Right. I
It seems
still
like
love to teach and I love to mentor people, but I'm going to do that through education REI, and make sure that people are accessing it that way, and also through the books. Right. So this book is a result of my coaching program. That what I used to charge in my coaching program, I have all the templates that I've used with my coaching clients here. And I'll show you how that translates out. So I encourage my coaching clients to all do quarterly plans. So in the book, the first half of the book explains how to use the templates, and the last half of the book are the templates themselves. So you could use it through this book. This is an example of a quarterly plan. I've been doing it for years. If you look on the right of me, right beside me, that is my quarterly plan is actually posted on the wall there. Um,
amazing.
so you can see, and I've been doing quarterly plans since 2008. Okay,
Wow.
so
No wonder you
this
are where you are, Quentin.
so
We gotta learn.
each quarter I focus, and I don't focus annually, because what happens when you focus annually is that, but you set goals in January, and by the time December comes, you look back and you said, what happened, right? Because you never did any of those goals. So I only do quarterly planning. I only do 90-day goals. And so
Really?
every 90 days we do new goals. You can see here examples of what, for example, a quarterly goal of mine will be to increase my cash flow by $1,500. Okay. And then I will be doing that by turning over 3 units within the portfolio. I'll make offers on 5 to 10 buildings. I'll add, joint venture partners to my multifamily, because I do a lot more apartment buildings now. I'll be sharing that and doing an overview sheet and a pro forma so that I can prepare for potential partners. So by doing these things, I'm able to increase my cash flow by $1,500. The focus for the quarter will be repositioning an existing building and close on 20 units. So you can see here that I'm very methodical about how I plan for my quarter, my upcoming quarter. Every quarter, I'm focusing on finding, funding, and financing properties. Every quarter, okay? Finding properties is, for me, that's a key part of being a real estate investor, is adding new properties to the portfolio. Funding is, being able to free up money either by refinancing the property or finding new joint venture partners. Okay, financing is complete the refi of the financing is completing, maybe finding new partners for private lending. Maybe it's finding a new bank to work with. Maybe it's refinance, like focusing on some refinancing with a new lender. Whatever it is, those are financing pieces. I focus on it every quarter. I have a quarterly challenge, something that takes me out of my comfort zone, and I also delegate new tasks every quarter. So I have tasks that I want to delegate to either an assistant, a VA, whoever it is. I have systems and processes that I work on. I have personal development that I work on. Sometimes I'll list out books that I want to make sure that I read this quarter. I have centers of influence that will help me to achieve my focus 1, 2, and 3 for the quarter. Okay, there are specific names of people. It's not airy-fairy. I don't do things like generalizations. I'm specifically say, I want to connect with this person because they're going to help me with this. Okay? Every quarter. And then I will put out what I'm focusing on for the quarter, like real estate strategy wise or financial wise, right? Like for example, this quarter I'm doing some estate planning, and I have some specific. I don't want to really tell you exactly what I'm planning, but I'm doing some estate planning pieces that I lay out specifically in my strategy and financial focus for the quarter, and then I reflect on myself. The freedoms. Now, in the book, you'll see that I explain the freedoms out there. But every quarter, I want to reflect on whether I'm achieving my freedoms. One of the all or most of the freedoms. Okay. And I actually have like on the Action Taker Real Estate Planner website, you can actually get the first chapter for free if that's something that floats your boat.
Amazing. I was going to ask you, Quentin. So this level of planning. First of all, that those were just two pages in your chapter. Do you
Yeah.
go into more detail? I mean, one chapter.
Yep.
You know, and I'm glad that you're offering even a free chapter. That's so gracious of you. So, is your book, just so it's clear for our audience, is your book strictly about real estate goal taking, or can it be applied to other areas of life? I mean, obviously, we are talking about real estate as a part of this wealth building, but can those templates be applied to other areas of life?
I would say it would be very helpful for a business person or an entrepreneur.
Which
I've used it to help me run a marathon. I've helped me to lose weight. It's helped me to do different things.
amazing.
Um,
Okay.
but it will always depend on you, right? The other thing that I like to focus on is, with the phases of real estate investing, where are you, right? In this chart, where are you in the phases of real estate investing? Are you in the building phase? Are you in the growth phase? Are you in the defend phase? Where are you in those phases? Okay. And you'll see that, and this is explained a little bit more in the book. When you're starting off in the build phase, you're going to be leveraging a lot more, right? So that means with leverage, I mean like you're going to be taking more loans. You're going to be, higher loan to value. When you're in the growth phase, perhaps you're deleveraging a little bit, but your cash flow and your equity is increasing. And let's say you're in the defend phase. That's probably later on in your life, right? So what you're doing is you're paying down your debt more. You're getting more cash flow, and you have a lot more equity, right? And you can use that equity for different things. So it depends on where you are, and everybody's at a different phase in their real estate investing, and you have to decide what that's going to be for you. Okay. The next component here is a weekly plan. So this is an example of the weekly plan from the guide, and it basically goes through what you're doing, like time blocking, prioritizing, what your week looks like, and how your week ties into your quarter. Right, so your week ties into your quarter. I have this right in front of me. I have one that I've done for this week. I do it on Sunday night or on Monday morning before the week starts, and I plan out my entire week all the time. So
Wow.
every week I do this. Even when I go on vacation, I do this. I plan out my week, exactly what I need to get done, and I remember I'm always tying it into my quarterly plan. So if you can see how
How
I'm more
how
methodical about how I'm planning this out, right?
yeah, how do you tie it to the quarterly plan, if I may ask, Quentin? Because I mean, if you're just planning a week ahead, do you somewhere on the weekly plan keep in mind what your quarterly goals are?
Yeah, because you remember, I'm looking up at my quarterly goals, and my priorities from the week should be tied into my quarterly goals. So I'm slowly every week working towards those quarterly goals. So if, for example, one of my quarterly goals that you saw as an example was to re-rent 2 or 3 of the properties, like the units, right? One of the things I might do is like, okay, well maybe I need to offer one of the tenants a little bit of moving money to move along and turn over the unit. Whatever that is, this week I have to focus on that in order to help me to achieve my goal. And it will always depend on what your goals are. So what I do is I'm offering like a what do we call it? I call it a goal achievement program. So,
Okay.
and what that enables us to do is every 3 months we'll do a webinar. You get a quarterly plan, you'll get your weekly plans, and we do a webinar that together, so as a group, to work on your quarterly goals, and then that way you can take those goals and then go out and work on them. And it's called the Goal Attainment Program on the Action Taker Real Estate Planner website. And with the coupon code Leticia 2021, you can get $10 off there.
He has to do something for our audience. I asked him to, so okay, gracias. Thank you, Quentin.
Yeah, you're welcome. So I thought,
Yeah.
I think that's probably a good way of approaching it, and hopefully you'll be able to use that. And I mean,
So I wanted to ask you, Quentin, just to
yeah.
get this clear, on your quarterly call, I lost, oh my gosh, I lost Quentin. I don't know what happened. I hope he can join us. He must have just checked himself out. I was going to ask him if, oh, there he is. He's coming back. Okay.
Sorry about that. It was this technology thing. I hit a
That's
button
okay.
and all of a
Yeah,
sudden I
yeah, yeah,
lost
yeah, yeah. That's okay. You came back quickly. That's amazing. You figured it out quickly. So my question was, Quentin, on the quarterly calls, is that an opportunity for the people in your program? Because essentially they can get the book and they can do it on their own. Like it's not an obligation to also join your quarterly call
it.
program, right? But is that basically a layer of accountability? And do they actually on the call? Do you take the time to actually do that quarterly plan on the call? Is that part of what takes place?
So what happens on the quarterly call is that it gives them an opportunity to get some feedback on exactly like what their goals are for the quarter. So what I find is that people need some help with they have an idea of what they want to do, but they don't know how to prioritize their goals when it comes to real estate specifically, and they don't know what are the other sub priorities that they need to do to achieve the goal. So what we'll do on the call is, with a group of people who are and we'll just do some examples together of people who have prepared their quarterly plan. We'll walk through it together, and then they'll get a better sense of doing it. And I'll answer questions around goal setting and priorities and help them to figure that out. But we do it together as a group, and it's just once every quarter. And it's
Could you bring
something
the
ridiculous.
this?
It's a ridiculous
Yeah, yeah,
price.
yeah.
I think it's like
No, I know.
$29 every
Yeah,
quarter.
it's amazing. Quentin, would you be so kind to share that slide again so people can have a look at it again?
Sure. I got to figure out how
So
to do that.
So,
Okay. Here.
I'm aware. No, I think, that's very gracious of you to offer, Quentin, because you just told
Oh,
us
there we go.
earlier. Yeah. Yeah, you told us earlier how much you used to charge, and I know that for a fact because I'm a member of your club, and it's crazy that, in other words, you found that you were no longer willing to invest the time in such hands-on coaching because it was taking time away from, I guess,
Family
other
time.
activities. Oh, wow, interesting. Okay. So this is your way of still being able to give back. This along with Durham REI. Are you rebranding Durham REI as Education REI? Just so I get that clear.
Yeah, so what's happening is I've been finding that been getting members from all over Canada. So I've had people coming, like been joining from Vancouver and Montreal and Saskatchewan and Alberta. I've been finding people have been joining from all over the place because the
Yeah,
education that they're receiving is the same. They can apply it wherever they want.
absolutely.
The course materials, like I have courses on property management, I have courses on how to find joint venture partners, how to structure deals, how to negotiate with private sellers, and it's all available through that course. So when they go onto the online website, there's like probably hundreds of hours of materials that are specific to real estate investing. So if they go there, it doesn't matter where they're from. And so what happened was I kind of by my branding, by calling it Durham REI, I pigeonholed myself, right?
Yeah.
And what I should have done is been more broad at the branding, and it would have helped. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to focus on calling it Education REI, and then .ca or .com, wherever you want to go to get to it, and it takes you to a central site and gives them the access. It explains the video training material, or they can go to Durham REI and access it that way too. But it's just really getting that training. But I mean, today I really wanted to talk about the new book, and and hopefully give people some insight into why it's important to have other income sources. Because in a pandemic, if all of a sudden you don't have your regular income source and now you need income, for me, I have multiple income sources that if I need to turn on or turn off, I can, right? If I wanted to do coaching again, I'm sure I can turn that on again. I'm not going to. But like, it is something that I could do if I wanted to earn income again. But I find that sometimes I feel like, and this is just, I'm kind of sharing, I feel like coaching became more like a job again. Like I was accountable
Mm,
to somebody. I had to be somewhere at a specific time. I don't want to do that. Getting me here at 4 o'clock is probably as good as you're going to get from me. So like,
thank you.
because
Thank you.
I make my own schedule and I decide what I do and when I do it, and I don't need income from anybody, like any sources, right?
Yep.
So I can always go back and if I wanted to generate a lot of income, maybe to do a big purchase, then I could sell some of those, some of my gooses, my golden gooses, right? I could sell a property if I needed to. But
Mhm.
at this point, I just do what I enjoy doing, and there's so much hype and stuff out there. I know that I'm successful, and I know that I have the results. For people that are learning or getting started for the first time, what I would suggest you do is make sure that there's a lot of people that are great real estate investors, but there are more people who are great marketers. What I would suggest is that you look at who is the most successful investor in your area, and then try to learn from them, because I think then that will help you much more than being like who might be really good on Instagram and Facebook. Oh, and by the way, I am on Instagram. I'm trying to get people to. I'm on QMan REI on Instagram, and I'm
I'll
trying to
post
get
your link.
people to follow me. I'm not really a great marketer, but I am a good real estate investor. So
That's awesome. Yeah, and just overall good guy, Quentin. One
thank you.
question that came to mind, yeah, one question that came to mind as you were sharing about the quarterly planning and even the weekly planning. Okay,
Yeah.
I have to admit it takes a certain level of discipline to keep doing it week in and week out. Because I have to say, as somebody who has good intentions, I've previously tried to do weekly plans, and I'll stick to it for like 2, 3 weeks, and then I fall off the wagon. And like, first of all, I don't know. Do you have any insight as to why that
Yeah.
happens? Okay, and what would you suggest as the solution? Like I found for me, like right now, I just hired a coach a couple of like literally within the past month, because I felt like I need some accountability, because I just but other than that, I don't know. What suggestions do you have? Or first of all, why do you think that happens? Why are we our own worst enemy? Well, not you, but maybe some of us, some people out there.
I'm
Um,
just like everybody else. So one of the things that I talk about in the book is having an accountability partner. So I have an accountability partner I've had different accountability partners over the years. Usually at 11 a.m. on Monday, I talk to my accountability partner, and I talk about my weekly plan with my accountability partner. And
well,
they tell me what they're working on for the week too. And that's what I've been doing for a very long time. I don't, but I separate the difference between an accountability partner and a coach. So an accountability partner,
sure.
for me, it's just somebody who I will tell what my goals are for the week, what my
Yeah.
priorities for the week. And then the
Mhm.
next week, what's funny is that I'll say, well, these are the goals that I achieved. And then and then I have to tell the person, and I didn't do this, right? And then the
Right.
thing is that the more that you do that, you're going to start to feel bad, especially if you're telling somebody week after week that you haven't done something. You're either going to do it or you're going to stop putting it on your list, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
and having an accountability partner can help solve that problem when it comes to, whether you're doing your weekly plan or not. The other thing
Okay.
is making sure to set a time and do it at a specific time every week. So, like,
You're talking about the actual weekly plan, the weekly plan,
yeah.
right?
So
Okay. Yeah.
you turn off everything. You don't plan any events at that time. So like if you talk to me at 10 o'clock on a Sunday night, that is what I'm doing. Every time it's the same time. Doesn't matter who or what is going on. I'm not dealing with them. I'm working on my weekly plan, right? So, and the same thing happens with my quarterly plan. I usually do it a week before the end of the quarter, right? And it's usually at the same time as I do my weekly plan, except I'm going to spend an extra hour working on my quarterly plan, right? And I
Amazing.
have a really good sense based on what I did my last quarterly plan, what my next quarterly plan is going to look like. So, and when we do that, like when we do our quarterly call for the people who are in the goal, setting program, what I'll do is I'll connect people with accountability partners who are on the call, because then
Amazing.
because then they can have their own accountability partner and they can figure out what time works for them. They connect together and then
Yeah.
they can ensure that their goals are being achieved, right? That's the real key. And that, like, a little bit long-winded, but that, answer your question in two ways, right?
No, absolutely, Quentin. And I did try in the past to have like a weekly accountability partner, and for a while it worked. Yeah, it takes two to be accountable. After a while, the person said, she couldn't do Monday mornings anymore. But I myself am guilty because I was late to our meetings more than once, and that's a bad habit that I've had. And it doesn't help that I'm in Mexico right now. So no, just kidding. Nothing to do. Excuses. Give me a break. So thank you for that. I'm actually almost amazed that somebody, even at your level, will still continue to have one accountability partner. So even you did it. Like so. Thank you for your transparency with that, and it certainly makes me feel human, and I'm sure other people on the call will feel the same way. There's value in that. And you said you would separate an accountability partner from a coach.
Right.
So how would you, I mean, at this stage in your game, is it, I hope it's not too personal of a question, but do you still have any coaches? I mean,
Totally.
you're,
But the coaches that I have are much more expensive than the coaches I had a long time ago. So I mean, I
of
was
course.
part I'm part of the strategic coach program, which is with
Yeah,
Dan Sullivan, which is,
yeah,
I think it's like 12,500 a year. I
yeah,
have a coach that I have on specific business dealings, a specific income strategy that I pay like something like 1,800 US a month. So I mean, and that's just those two programs. I invest in myself. That's how I'm able to do the things I do. I've always invested in myself. And I mean, those alone, I spend over $25,000 a year just on educating myself. And I would say that, well, not with travel anymore, but with travel, with like EO and all of that, I would say that that's probably, closer to 30. And you don't need to start
EO,
that way.
sorry. No, no,
You
what do
don't
you mean
need
by,
to start that way.
of
All you
course, of
need to
course.
do
Yeah,
is, find like-minded people, and maybe it's just $100 a month to whatever it is, that to educate yourself and be around other people who are doing the same thing. That is helpful. But I find that, like, if you're not paying for something, I find that you don't attribute value to it. because you're not paying for it, and you make an excuse of why I shouldn't attend, or why, or if it's a low amount, I find that like people are more likely to make excuse. Oh, it's only $25 a month, I'm not going to go, right? And I've learned that the hard way, even with Durham REI, and starting off, I wasn't charging anything for people to attend, and it was the worst thing because it had people who didn't appreciate it. And I've learned a lot about how the people work and minds work, and I know that people, even if you pay a few dollars, as long as you are committed to doing something, it helps. It helps your the way that you're committed to doing something. And I know it sounds kind of funny, and people may agree or disagree, but I invest in myself all the time, and I think other people should be doing it too. Right. And I think having a coach is great for you. Like if you feel that it helps you and it takes you to a new area that you haven't gone to before, then that's great. I think that's a good thing. I think
Yeah,
we hit over an hour now, so maybe we
thank
should.
you for being more mindful of time than I am, Quentin. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. So yeah, Quentin, that's been, I know we covered some ground today. I would love to have you back another time, perhaps, to share further insights. And I'm actually very excited about this program that you're offering, and I might be one of your first students. I hope that's okay with you. Because I feel I could benefit from that structure. I mean, if there's one thing that's been missing in my life is structure, and it's not something that necessarily that comes easily to me. My personality type, I'm very free flowing, and I have other qualities, but I feel definitely getting some structure into my life would help me a lot. And with a coach, yeah, it was just a matter of I realized like I had certain things in my life that I've been procrastinating on for far too long, and they're just not getting done. And I know I want to do it. They need to get done. And some things, I have certain goals that literally just scare me so much that I just wasn't taking any action because I was literally paralyzed. So this lady, and yeah, she's helping me get unstuck and like take those little baby steps towards those, you know, big goals. So I'm very grateful, and hopefully it'll, go better and better.
It will. You're making changes, and that's what's important. So that's
Thank
great.
you. Thank you, Quentin. I really appreciate it. And thanks again so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I knew you were going to be a hit. So thank you again. I look forward to having you back, should you be willing to. I'll try to give you a little more notice next time. Thank you again. And thanks everyone for watching. And if you, I'm just going to quickly look at Facebook, Quentin, to see if there were any questions in the comment section. 1 second. And if there were any questions that I'm not able to answer, no, I don't see any questions. If we do have questions afterwards, I will tag you so you can chime in. Okay?
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Have a good one. Take care.
Have a great rest of the week. All the best. Bye for now. Bye, everybody. See you
Bye-bye.
next week.